City of God is a 2002 crime and drama film directed by Fernando Morales, based on true events that occurred in the favelas of Rio de Janeiro. I chose to analyze this film as it effectively represents the theme of masculinity through the transition from boys to manhood. It demonstrates the perception of masculinity in the perspective of a thuggish life in a difficult area of Brazil, depicting the world of drugs and violence, in contrast from the dramatized masculinity we're used to seeing on screens, from stereotypical rich businessmen, romantic lovers, and comic book superheroes. I find that due to this being based on a true story, it demonstrates a more accurate idea of how masculinity dominated at this time within certain demographics, in a more realistic approach that can be applied to a real-life patriarchal society. In the opening of the movie, young boys are shown with guns and knives. Throughout the narrative, we learn that this is seen as very normal, and most boys in the area had some sort of weapon in order to gain respect and feel powerful, regardless of their age. Casual violence and strong language illustrates them as tough and fearless, and along with the weapons they carry, they see themselves as men in an authoritarian position. This is well demonstrated through the film in the character of Lil Z, violent from a young age, then becoming the City of God's most notorious killer and dealer, who was respected and feared by other children. Lil Z is often dressed in bright colors, gold chains, and often carries weapons and guns, which illustrate him as imposing and dangerous, superior to others in the favelas through his appearance. From watching the movie, I noticed that the city consists of a mostly conformist society, with boys thinking they have to follow in the footsteps of the older gang members and be violent and carry weapons in order to fit in with them and seem masculine. This is shown in the scene where young boys are talking about their admiration of Lil Z and wanting to be like him and murder people in ways that he did. As Lil Z notices, he violently attacks, despite their young age, which is an act of reassurance of his authority, as he has a reputation to protect and showing them that he is not their friend, but someone that they should fear and be respectful of, confirming his status. Lil Z makes one of the boys choose one of the remaining of his friends to kill, and despite his reluctance and clear discomfort with the idea of doing so, he does it in order to keep himself out of trouble, and Lil Z praises him for doing so. The boy is unhappy and distressed, however contains his emotions to avoid looking weak in front of his God. This sort of behavior and resistance of showing emotion is displayed numerous times throughout the movie and is a clear representation of an element of masculinity. Another example of masculinity is shown in the character of Knockout Ned. In the movie, Lil Z raped his girlfriend whilst forcing him to watch, and then further proceeded to shoot at his house along with his gang, resulting in the deaths of Knockout Ned's brother and uncle. Instead of crying about these occurrences, Ned expresses his grief and sadness through anger and revenge. This illustrates that in order to be masculine, these men and boys are expected to be violent and aggressive, and display no weakness no matter the situation. In conclusion, the movie City of God demonstrates masculinity as being fearless, respected, and violent. Children looked up to the older gang members and drug dealers, such as Lil Z and Carrot, and saw these elements of masculinity in them. They reproduced their behavior in many ways, from smoking, drinking, drug taking, dealing, and killing, in order to be like them. They saw these leaders as ideal representations of what it was like to be a man, demonstrated in the phrase said by a young boy at one point in the film.
Louco, rapaz. Você é uma criança, rapaz.
Que criança? Eu fumo, meu cheiro, já matei, já roubei. Sou sujeito homem.